What's going on, everybody? Great podcast this week. Frank Capobianco, Senior VP of Cardinal Financial. Brilliant guy, been in the business over 20 years, seen the ups, seen the downs, and has been right on point as far as where the market's going and where rates have been and where they are going. Brilliant guy. Definitely want to check this out if you are a realtor, attorney, investor, or just curious about the state of the real estate market. Check it out. Yeah, kid, welcome back to another episode of Smells Like Cappy with Handsome. I'm your host, Charles Weinraub, aka the Handsome Home Buyer, aka Captain Permit, aka maybe we should just kill it. What do you think? or come up with a new one. What do you? No? But I already said Captain Permit. All right, that works. I think maybe just less is more. Obviously, if your house smells like Cappy, dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement steps. You know I'm quick, I'm easy. Lord knows I'm a good time.
Yeah, boy.
I want to buy it, 516-777 sold. Obviously, this podcast and every podcast is sponsored by none other than Cardinal Financial, specifically Sal Rizzolo from Cardinal Financial, who's the fucking man. He came through again for me today. So not only is he the man getting things done in less than 30 days. For real. I know you loan officers say, hey, I'm going to get it done in less than 30 days. You don't. It never happens. It only happens when Sal does it, right? So that's one. Two, imagine a loan officer who's basically doing the attorney's job. So I get a call this morning on a deal that's going to close that I listed, sold, and he's representing the seller. He's calling me to tell me about boundary line issues on 3 different neighbors to try to get this thing done in time. Meanwhile, we have not heard hide nor hair of the attorney. That guy doesn't know. Sal knows about boundary line issues. How does that happen?
I mean, it happens because we are the most involved in the deal of the entire transaction, the heartbeat of the deal. I know the realtor's important. I know the lawyer is important. But at the end of the day, the mortgage guy has to deal with all the crap, right? And we speak to the borrower quite often, and we have to relay, what that crap means to them in their closing. So we try to take pride in every single part, whether it has to do with the financing or not.
You don't have to be close to the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry. Hey. So speaking of Cardinal Financial, we have the vice president of Cardinal with us today.
Senior.
Fuck. I stand corrected. My apologies. Senior vice president, Frank Capobianco. And it's just, the name is, and I got to do this.
Yeah. We're going to have chicken parm right after this.
When I do it. My 50% Sicilian side is very excited. No, my whole, the Jewish side's excited. Because our food's not that good.
Oh, I'm excited to be here, so I appreciate you guys having me.
And I was telling, I talk about you all the time. You are, and listen, this is no, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to say it anyway. You are the most intelligent mortgage guy I have ever met in my life. Like, bro, you are dialed in. You are a very smart and impressive man. I tell everybody that.
I think it's because I made a lot of mistakes and I've been in the business a very long time.
But you're not old.
No, I'm not old. I just turned 39 yesterday.
Not a wrinkle on your face.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great hair to beard ratio.
He's really commenting on
fantastic tan.
I like it. It's a little white. This is
that's okay.
It's showing my distinguished side.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you.
I like it. Yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get. So I mean, obviously a lot going on in the world right now, right?
Yeah, man.
We're gonna hop into it.
Go.
And I feel like you're kind of like the oracle. You've been, and you and I have been. We're very close, and that's what you get when you work with a company like Cardinal. And there's only one company like Cardinal, right? So that's what you get when you work with Cardinal. Is you have access to very intelligent people who have 20 plus years experience in real estate, mortgages, etc. Have been through multiple cycles, right?
Bad ones.
A lot of agents, a lot of loan officers have not seen a recession.
Yeah.
Bro, they came into the business from 2010 was the bottom, right? That's 12 years, almost 13 years. Yeah. That's a long fucking time.
And I think that, people don't realize that, even small fluctuations cause big ripples, right? Mm-hmm. Rates going up a half a point may not sound bad on paper, but just how many borrowers does that affect that now they all of a sudden can't qualify for the $450,000 house and they're knocked down to a $350,000 range. And what does that open up to the agent? Do they have to switch agents? Do they have to switch school districts? It's a big deal, and it starts to cause ripples throughout the entire industry, title, settlement, mortgage, real estate. It goes far down. So we try to be ahead of that to prepare. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but being through those other cycles, you can kind of guess with some pretty good accuracy. And we have thus far where it's going to be as far as volume. The Mortgage Bank Association always puts out, their estimates. And then we try to trim from there what we see locally because real estate is such a localized thing.
Yeah.
And that's something we talk about often.
Without a doubt. And it could be from like town to town, from county to county. It really depends. I mean, and I'm not a doomsday guy. I'm not sitting here saying like the world's coming to an end, but like obviously what was going on couldn't go on forever. On like a 6th grade level, just so people understand, because I like to educate the public, explain to people how the interest rates work and why they fluctuate when you talk about the Fed and when they come out with announcements every 30 days, and then as it relates to mortgage rates.
So the Fed is, they're trying to control supply and demand, which is a pretty easy concept, right? The more supply you have with the less demand, you're going to see prices drop. The more demand you have with a lower supply, you're going to see prices go up, which is what we've seen, which is there's no inventory. So that is a function of the entire economy, not just real estate. And what's happening with inflation right now is it's so hard to get oil, to get products. I mean, anyone that's tried to buy a car,
it's crazy.
You build houses, so you can't get anything.
You know what? I'm actually not having, you know what I'm having a hard time? So I have a bike. I bought a bike like 4 years ago, and I put in my
you mean a bicycle or like
a bicycle?
Okay.
Like the one that I pedal. The one that I pedal. So I bought a bicycle like 3 years ago. I started doing these like 20, 25 mile like bike rides. Throw like a podcast in, disconnect from the world. Went over a curb, screwed up my rim.
And I can't get one.
Dude, can't get a fucking rim. Like I can't get a bike.
So there's a supply chain issue, and that's what's causing a lot of this inflationary pressure. You know, food, oil, trickling all the way down through everything. So as the inflation goes up, what the Fed's trying to do is destroy demand because they can't control supply, right?
Yeah.
They should be focusing a little bit more, in my opinion, on fixing the supply chains issues, becoming a little bit more independent. But for right now, the Fed only has tools to destroy or create demand.
Yep.
When they make cheap money, cut interest rates, short-term rates, it's easier to grow, to borrow, to have companies that are speculative, technology companies that need to borrow a lot of money now and won't see returns for years. So what they do is they lower the short-term interest rates. Right now, we're in a cycle where they're actually raising those rates and tightening, which makes it more difficult for those type of companies to come into play, and why you see the stock market doing what it's doing. And on the real estate side of things, it's not a direct correlation. A lot of people think like, hey, rates are going up 75 bips. I better lock in today because my rate's going to be exactly 75 basis points higher tomorrow. It's not an exact correlation, but what's happening is the Fed is destroying demand across the economy, right? So they're making people not feel rich. They don't want to buy things. They don't want to buy houses, cars, TVs. And we're seeing that in some of the buyers getting cold feet. What has to happen then is, or what hopefully will happen then is, the rest of inflation gets tamed and rates come down. See, mortgage rates are as tied to the inflationary pressures as they are to the short-term interest rates.
So, and this is for me because I don't know the answer, so I'm happy I asked you this question. Who ultimately decides if rates go up or not? Because as far as I always knew, I was like, the government regulates the economy with two things, right? They have two shots, which it seems like they already shot. So we're kind of screwed, right?
We're out of shots.
They can either buy bonds, which lowers rates, and they can spend money.
So that's one of the things that people don't realize. Since 2019, and of course since COVID, really, I guess 2020, the Fed has been buying mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah.
Right. So they're the buyers.
Yep.
And what other buyers realized at that point was, even if I don't want to pay, someone else is going to buy it. So the sellers would constantly be out there, and it's free reign. They stopped doing that earlier this year, and now there's a threat that they may actually sell it. So that secondary market.
Are they still buying? I heard that they stopped, but then I heard that they were actually still low-key buying.
So the balance sheet has gone up. I guess to unofficially answer the question, the balance sheet has gone up when it's supposed to have plateaued and or leveled off. So there's some speculation that they're still out there, although not at any sort of the clip that they were.
Okay.
That will in effect mortgage rates even more so than the Fed, because the Fed is short-term interest rates.
Yes.
The actual MBS being bought or treasuries being bought is what gave us 1 3/4 rates for the last 2 years, 2.5 rates, and that's not happening right now. So that's why you see a little bit more pressure in the mortgage side.
So a question, I'm just again curious to know if this is podcasts are a very selfish thing. You have to hang out with cool people and ask them shit that like, if they're like, no, I don't want to hang out with you. Oh, I've got a podcast. All right, people are gonna see me. All right, cool. I'll hang out with you then. If they want to sell these who are the takers?
That's the big $100,000 question, because they've been the takers for so long that now there needs to be an emerging market, and the dance is, if we're in fact in a recession or going into a recession, are those bonds going to perform, right? Are people going to make their payments?
And then so basically private private groups are going to come out and they're going to, and obviously the rates are going to be higher.
Anything from pensions to to private equity firms buy into MBSs.
But
which is why we had the problem in 08.
But the paper that the government's currently holding that they want to unload, there's no guarantee they're going to be able to unload it.
Or if they do, it could be at a substantially discounted rate. And when price of bonds goes down, yield of bonds go up.
Why would they unload the paper at a discount?
Because they're trying to suppress demand. It's one of the tools in their arsenal, raising rates and then unloading the balance sheet. So it was reversed before, right? So we had quantitative easing. Yeah. Quantitative easing is when they were buying. Now there's quantitative tightening. The last time they did this was 2019, and rates shot up like crazy. I mean, if you have a graph or a chart, you can see the 10-year bond or mortgage-backed securities. The rates went, crazy in 2019 until the COVID pandemic hit, and then they switched courses and started buying again.
Where were rates in 2019?
Probably right where they're a little lower than they are right now, right around where they are right now.
Yeah, and things were still moving. Everything was fine. A lot of it is also obviously it's real economics, but a lot of it is also perception too. Mm-hmm. So when people think now when I'm listing houses, it's a very different feel.
Well, you were in complete control as the seller before, and now you're kind of back to that normal of maybe you're a little, you're on even ground, or maybe you're a little ahead of the buyer as in regards to, hey, I want this and this is what I'm getting. And that could potentially even switch, right, to a buyer's market where there's so little buyers if the sellers are vying for their business. I don't think it's going to happen so much on Long Island.
And not in the immediate future because we just have no inventory. It's a very weird, what I'm telling people is, and everyone's looking at me like I'm half nuts, is I'm like, you're chasing the market in 30-day increments, but it's really almost like 2-week increments because the Fed meets, rates go up, right? Mm-hmm. You don't know how the buyer's going to react. So it takes 2 weeks if you're really dialed in to see what's going on the contract. And then you have 2 weeks to just basically make the adjustment and unload before the next.
Which is why you're so successful, because you're constantly probing anybody and everybody that is in the know of, hey, where do you think it's going to be tomorrow? Where do you think it's going to be the next day? Because you're staying ahead of the curve. You can't be reactive. You got to be proactive.
There's 3 questions in life that I think I ask everybody ad nauseum is A, how do you get a boy?
Right? I don't know that. I got 2 girls.
B, well, I would ask you, I was like, what did you do? Because I'll make sure I'll do the opposite. 2, should I get married? And then 3, where are the interest rates going?
Well, I could answer 2 of the 3, or I guess I reverse.
I think you got all 3.
Definitely get married, because the only thing that keeps me sane on the straight and narrow and successful is my wife. Otherwise, I'd be, just like the rest of them. I'm still working on Sal with that, but that may be my biggest sailing challenge, or maybe you will be. And as far as the rates go, I mean, like you said, it's a touch and go thing. It's a day-to-day thing. You can only prepare for the worst and hope for the best, which is what we do all the time. But you see, I mean, just last month in June, 15% of contracts nationwide were canceled after they were already signed.
So were they canceled because basically people didn't qualify anymore?
Well,
people got scared?
I think it could be a little bit of both. My personal belief is there's a self-fulfilling prophecy of, hey, values are going down, so I'm going to wait, right? Yeah. Because if buyers think values are going down and they wait, then inevitably sellers may panic and do price cuts. Yeah. And then the buyer says to themselves, I was right, I'm going to wait a little longer. And then there'll be more price cuts.
But the interesting thing people don't understand is, I'm going to make a video out of this too. Now, taking the fact that you can refinance later depending on where the rates go is, so I was like, I did an example. Let's say you're going to buy a house for $600,000 and you can put 20% down at 5.5%. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. Let's say the house goes down 10%, which is a big drop.
It's a big drop.
It's not going to happen tomorrow, but big drop, right? And now you're at 540 at 6.5% with the 20% down. Your monthly payment is more. It's still more. So you get these people that are like, no.
If it's a need, if it's a true need, you're having another baby, you're getting married, you need to relocate because of your job. Sometimes, school district is really important. If it's a true need, people are jumping in regardless. They want to get a good deal, but they're jumping in regardless of the rate, the price. They want to make sure the house and the district are right. Other than that, some of these speculative buyers, especially, Airbnb owners, people are trying to do all that kind of stuff, are now starting to realize that you can't just buy a house and then make double the rent whenever you want.
No.
So they're starting to pull back a little bit. And then the people that are looking to upgrade are starting to say, shit, maybe I'll just take a cash out refinance and do the work to my house that I wanted, rather than trying to buy in an area with higher taxes and higher prices.
Have you pretty much seen the refinance business disappear?
We actually saw an uptick in the last couple of months, and it's both a concerted effort and just the market in general. There's a real need for cash, man. There's a real need for cash. People are willing to go from 3.5% interest rates to 5-6% interest rates if we're wiping out debt and accessing cash.
Oh, really? So they need cash because what? They've just rang up all kinds of bills?
Unfortunately, savings rate is at the lowest it's been in quite a while. And the new credit rate on revolving debt, credit cards especially, is the highest.
Do you think people are hoarding physical cash? I have a couple of people that think that people are actually hoarding physical cash. Because like, where's all the money? Like, all these stimulus checks, all this money, where is it?
I think they spent a lot of it. From what we're seeing, we pull, thousands of credits a day and take a look at both buyers and homeowners existing. And a lot of people are hyperextended on debt. And it's not people that, are just barely making it or got themselves in a bad situation or lost their job. It's people that make a good amount of money, but living a certain lifestyle that, maybe they can't afford anymore. And there's, again, you go to any food store, you go to any grocery. I'm going to stop by the meat place next door, actually, when I leave. And you'll see, you're 20, 30, 50% higher than you were last year or the year before. That's a lot of disposable income that goes away. It's
a very, very, very weird time, man.
I'm not saying take cash out to buy meat, but
no. It's a weird time. It's just a very weird time. The only thing that's going down right now, thankfully, is construction material.
Yeah, which is helping.
Which is kind of helping. I mean, like, I kind of hit the peak where, I guess, like let's kind of talk about where you think the market's going. Like, where do you think rates are going?
I personally think that we're going to be at or around this level through probably the end of the year, maybe even into spring.
Yeah.
I think the Fed's going to continue on their path, which is 75 bips in July. Then they meet again in September. It's planned to be 75, maybe 50, maybe 75. And then it'll tail down to a quarter and a quarter. And then by next year, I think they're going to reverse course and probably have to cut.
So by January 1, what do you think the 30-year is going to be?
30-year, I think probably going to be around 5.5.
You think so?
Yeah.
So, but they're about to do next week. They're going to hike rates. You don't think mortgage rates?
I think a lot of that's baked in. I think that the two set, unless if they go 100 or they go crazy, depending on how the market reacts, I think it's a lot of it's baked in.
So you don't think rates are going to go up?
I think could we see 6.25, 6.5?
Why have you been torturing me the last time?
So I want you to move on the product,
bro. Whatever hair I have.
No, I think that what's going to happen is, because my fear is that we haven't even seen real unemployment yet, right?
No, but no, we haven't. There's layoffs have started, right? The people
100%.
that see it early, layoffs have started. Okay.
And the big corporations, Apple, Tesla, some of these big conglomerates, they have said that they're going to do a hiring freeze, and what comes after a hiring freeze is usually layoffs.
Those guys, I've heard a couple, I don't know if it was Facebook or who it was, they're laying off their entire recruitment department.
Yeah.
They laid off the people that hire.
They're looking for a contraction. And the problem is, or the good news, I guess, for rates and the bad news for the economy is, if and when that unemployment number starts to creep up, and hopefully, and we don't know this to be true, but hopefully what they're doing does destroy demand enough where the inflation number comes down, that's when the Fed stops and then reverses course into cutting rates and buying bonds again.
You think it's going to happen that fast? I mean,
I honestly do. I honestly don't think, I don't think it,
I mean, you're in good company. Michael Berry came out after you and said the same thing. Did you see that?
Probably, a lot of guys copy off of me.
That's what I'm saying. You're a very, very smart guy. He actually came out and said this. Did you see?
I did see it, and I do agree with him on most topics. And I think that it's how we talked about this before. How much pain is everyone willing to?
It's just not long enough a period of time, though.
I think it is, though, because I think that what's going to happen is you got to realize, like, most people's wealth, their biggest asset and their biggest liability is their house, right?
Yeah.
Your mortgage is the most money you owe anybody else. You're usually your biggest payment, but then the equity in your house is usually your source of wealth. Most people's retirement, maybe they tap into if they do a cash out refinance. And if you want to make someone feel poor, destroy the value of their house.
But the thing is, like, I would almost be petrified for them to drop the rates so quickly again, because then I think they're going to set us up for like a nuclear explosion.
I do believe that, again, this is just my
That'll opinion. Be one last shot in the arm to be like, let me get rid of everything and just like go to sleep
I have
for 2 years.
No crystal ball, but unless they magically fix the supply chain issue, if we're just talking about demand and we're just talking about the Fed, I think we have until spring of next year. Spring of next year, you'll start to see rates come down again. They'll go back into that.
One last shot in the arm.
One last shot
through the summer to the end of the
probably
year.
6 to 12 months.
Okay.
And then it's going to inflation is going to rear its head and be nasty and uncontrollable and untamable.
And they're going to have to throw rates to the freaking moon.
I mean, that's what they did in the 80s. That's Volcker. You know, they keep talking about Volcker and what he did.
But so why would they do the same goddamn thing? Because right now they can, listen,
a lot of political
my opinion,
pressure.
I don't want to, yeah, but the election's already fucking going to be done in November.
November of this year. And then we got 2 years after that until whatever happens with president.
Oh, so they're trying to make it better as a lead up?
Or they could make it worse. I mean, depending on what side of the fence you're on.
Here's the shitty reality of it, right? If you bring rates up into the 9s, which is probably where they have to be, and I don't want that to happen, but this is the reality, it'll suck for a little while, but it'll be okay. If you slingshot it, you're going to fuck us in the same way that they did with all the stimulus money. You know what I don't understand what they don't do is just one, and listen, I'm not running the country, right? What the hell?
Hey, maybe we should.
Might even run my own life rate, right? But
got to get the wife for that. I just told you.
Yeah, is that the key? Why don't they just fucking tell everybody they have to repay the PPP money that they were supposed to have to repay?
Yeah, well, good luck. Half of it was used for stuff that it wasn't even supposed to be used for.
You put too much money out, right? And told people they have to pay it back. And they're like, don't worry about it, free money, right? Like, it's crazy.
Well, and then unfortunately, probably what should happen, and again, bite my tongue, is, in a point like this, they should be actually raising taxes, right? They should be taking more money out of the system from that way. Oh. But if they redeploy it to supply chain issues and reinvestment in infrastructure, but they won't. But what will happen is, and I already saw it in California, they're actually doing more stimulus. There was a bill, I forget what it was.
Not.
Yeah, I swear to God, they gave more money out, which is going to just compound the
restaurant
problem.
owners? I know a restaurant owner who just got like 2 checks for $300,000 for keeping his employees, even though he got PPP money. It was a program that they sent to him, total legit program. They just sent him $350,000.
And again, there's a place for it all, but a lot of that money didn't get used for the right stuff.
No, a lot of it went into the fucking stock market, which is why the market went through
It's all speculative, and that's when you get the bubbles. And I think that's where, there's this, again, you don't want to, you could just say like pop it, destroy it, start over, but a lot of people can't weather that storm, and you don't really want to put people through that. 08 was nasty, man.
But they already screwed up, right? Flooding too much money. Now they have the ability to like
throttle it.
Punch people in the gut, but like not kill them in the short term. If they freaking drop rates again, we're screwed. Like if they drop rates again like that, it would scare the shit out of me. I would be like,
get out,
get rid of everything, right? Get rid of everything, and then like
figure it out afterwards.
I'll become an educational trainer or whatever, and that'll be it. I'll just do social media.
Podcast.
I'll just do social media all day until the world comes back from the nuke.
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately, I don't have any confidence that they will stick to their guns long enough. I mean, there are people already talking about potentially September, them going back to 25 or 50 basis points or nothing at all. Because they're scared of what it's doing to the market. Now, the CPI number, cost produce index is consumer price index. I'm sorry, was up.
Yeah.
And it was up again.
Yeah.
And that's what the Fed is kind of hanging their hat on right now, saying like, look, inflation's still going crazy, so we're still going to raise rates. But I think the market is dictating what the Fed does more so than the Fed is dictating what the market does.
Yeah. Because listen, if people weren't willing to spend money on stuff, price would go down. But you're starting to see the cracks already. Like you're seeing it in the housing market. Like what I've seen, definitely I've seen a 5% drop.
Across the board.
Yes.
Any price point.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen a 5% drop. Stuff that I was like, okay, I'm gonna get X for this, I'm like 5% down. And I made the switch very quickly. And what I'm trying to tell people is I'm like, you have to be priced 5 to 10% below an equivalent house at any given time if you want that thing to move. And you're not going to get 30 offers. Like you're going to get 3.
Well, you got to make sure they're qualified offers, or you're going to waste your time. And by the time you find out they're not qualified, you got to cut another 5% because the market's dropped more.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, having this is where like, if you were in this industry and you were a dick for the last 12 years, you're screwed because this is where everybody has to work together. This is where it's like, you need the loan officers going to screen everything. Agents have to be cool. Everybody has to do their job. It's all of us together to get this freaking thing done, or it's
none of us.
Or exactly,
it's going to be no deal,
or no one's eating.
It's success based, and that's what I love about the business. I mean, we talk about it all the time when guys say, I'm working really hard. That's great. That's part of a key to success. But at the end of the day, we only get paid when when the transaction closes. And that's the attorney, that's the realtor, that's us. We need to close that deal at any cost.
All right. So on the rate front, you think rates are going to
we're
go up into like 6.5 range. You think everything's already baked in. Then you think the market's going to continue to decline. Then they're going to lower rates in the spring of next year, which is going to just slingshot values and everything else, and then essentially lead to Armageddon.
Yeah.
6 to 12 months after that.
It's that, that typical new paradigm chart. You're up, down, up, down.
Yeah, but it's just like we were up climbing out of the recession. Then COVID was a recession of sorts. It was. A lot of people got really hurt. But that's usually you have like a minor recession. Then the government comes in to artificially inflate the economy, which
not
is
inseminate. That's what you're going to say.
Artificially inseminate. That's the key to having a boy, right?
That's true.
Spin them up and take the male cells out, and then you're right back. But ultimately, that usually sets you up for the next real big one, or big-ish one. Not necessarily 2008, which is what I thought was going to happen now. But based on what you're saying, it's not going to go there.
Yeah, and I think there are really smart people, and again, it's just my opinion. So there are really smart people out there that think we're in a 3-year. We're going to be in this type of a market for up to 3 years. If that happens, it may remedy all these problems that we're talking about. I just don't feel like the current regime and the current climate of everybody, from the consumer on up to Jerome Powell, will stomach that. I think that they're gonna cave too early.
And when they do, it's going to be.
And there's,
I don't even like right now. I have I'll probably have a plan at that point either. But at that point also, I'm like right now, I have a plan. I'm like, all right, I get it. I'm like, I think rates are going to go into the 9s. I'm like, I think rates are going to go up every single 30-day period except August because they don't meet in August, right? And I'm like, okay, anything I'm underwriting today, I'm going to assume that it's going to sell for 15% less than it did 2 months ago, and I'm going to do a sick job on the house and price it like 5% below everybody else, and I'm going to blow these things out.
Yeah,
bro. If what you're saying happens, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Well, I think that, like you said, you're probably best off blowing out lot of the inventory,
and then
keeping your cash and letting the dust settle. And I think there's the cool thing about real estate is you can kind of, if you're paying attention, you could see a little bit into the future, right? We started talking about this in February, March, whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
And my opinion at that point was, you are going to see a 35 to 40% correction outside of New York in states that have a lot of builder activity, right? There's more supply being forced onto the market.
That's a huge number.
And it's already happening. I mean,
what did you say about New York? What did you think?
I think New York was going to be about 15, maybe 20% in certain areas. So if you think we're 5% now, maybe we got 10 more percent to go.
Yeah, I've also been like really lucky to be having conversations with like big funds, hedge funds, like big investment banks to see like what their take on it is. Just with all the 3D printing stuff we're doing.
Yep. Which is awesome, by the way.
So fucking awesome, dude.
Really cool.
Just bought 27 acres last week.
Yeah.
3D print.
That's amazing.
25 houses.
How many houses go on? 25?
25.
Oh, so it's a big property.
Yeah, 27 acres, bro. It's huge.
Yeah. No, I'm saying each house is going to have a decent.
It's going to be like 3/4 of an acre.
Cool.
Riverhead.
Nice.
Fired up. The question is, do we just go rental for the whole thing, or do we sell them?
Because you can't see in the market.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on at the time. But they are, so basically I've talked to certain people who they're underwriting their deals at they're re-underwriting everything they have at like 9.5%. And if it works, they keep it. If not, they dump it. Cost of doing business. And they have buying freezes. And then I have people again, big funds, heavy duty real estate people that have said anywhere from 5 to 12% reduction.
So, I guess if you said 10%, you'd probably be, right there for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going at 15 to be concerned, but I think, to your point, it depends on the market, right?
It depends on the location. Again, Riverhead may be different than Garden City.
Yeah,
it's very localized, but I think that's what we don't feel the pressure of that others will is that injection of new supply. Except for guys out there building 3D printed houses. There's not much construction.
But that's the last bit of land that's out there, man. That shit's gone.
You got the
that's the last spot.
Unless you're going to destroy the racetrack out there, you're good.
But the thing that's also kind of interesting that is keeping the whole thing up, it's the rents are so high.
Yeah.
So
the yield is there for, whether it's an individual or whether it's a conglomerate.
So I buy a lot of stuff in Bellport. I just bought a whole bunch of stuff in Bellport. I was buying houses in Bellport 2-3 years ago for $50,000 with $3,000 in taxes, right? Now, and 3 bedrooms. So that 3 bedroom is going to be renting at $2,400 a month. Mm-hmm. So that house is not going to be $50,000 ever again.
No.
Because doesn't make sense. So that's the weird thing about trying to figure out what the hell is going to go on here. Because it's like very high rent, no supply, still demand, but changing. I don't know.
Well, and I think it's one of the reasons why home ownership is, is usually the key to success, because even if you get a higher payment than you want, right? Let's say you want a $2,000 mortgage payment, but after taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, it's $2,300. You can still afford it, but it's a little uncomfortable, but you do it. At least with the exception of taxes and insurance going up, which is usually not that frequent, or if it is, it's very minimal. You know what your payment's going to be. You're controlling your own destiny. If you're renting, every year, every 2 years, whenever that lease is up, it's going up, right? You have no control. So even if it's a little higher than you would like to pay, get in, control your own destiny. And then, like you said, if the rates go down, whether it's next spring or in 10 years, you refi out of it.
I mean, I would respectfully disagree with that for me personally, only because I have an apartment and I'm really trying. Like if rents go up to a certain point, I'm like, Mom, I know you told me that like I can't be Uncle Ummy and I ain't fucking coming back, but like
I'm on my way.
It's $4,000 for a 1-bedroom. I'll sleep in my old room, whatever.
And it's these big, whether it's hedge funds, private equity firms that are buying single family homes. I mean, they were out there in force the past couple of years. And that's something that's interesting too, because if they continue to overpay for houses like they've been, because they think that the rental yield is going to be there, that's going to keep both the rents up and the prices up.
These guys, they're buying off for like 2 and 3 caps. You know what I think a big thing for them is? I think they're using it as a hedge. Like, I think they have a ton of money that needs to get deployed. How do they do it safely? They have to protect the fees or whatever else. And obviously the investor money. How do you do that? If inflation is going to be an issue for the next 5 years and things are going to still move, what do you stick it in?
Well, historically, real estate is a very good hedge against inflation.
Yes.
Just in this crazy, messed up market that we're in right now, it's not. But that's why I'm still bullish on real estate. I'm still bullish on the mortgage industry. And in fact, this shakeout will thin out the herd a little bit, like it's done, at any time before. And then on the other side of it, both real estate investors, agents, attorneys, mortgage companies, lenders in general will come out even stronger, even if inflation is still there.
So one of the things I love about you, because obviously we're tight and we've been doing a lot of business together recently, is I see what you do for your people, right? So we're in a situation where, if you were a loan officer and you came in during the refi boom, like that shit is done.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's all about purchase business and you got to work.
It's funny. Sal came in. I don't know if he told you this or if you guys spoke about this, but quick genesis on Sal. Again, Sal, we used to sweep the floors at the barbershop that I go to, and you could tell I put a lot into my hair. And nobody would let him, he wanted to be a barber, no one would let him cut his hair because he's the floor sweeper. He's 16 years old. Right? So I said, dude, cut my hair. Like, I don't care. It's every 3 weeks, it looks like a mess anyway. So then he used to cut my hair, and then he became a really good barber. And I used to get to talking to him about, his dreams and aspirations. And he would see, hey, you got a different car every day. You get, a BMW or whatever the hell's going on. What do you do?
Were you in LO at this point?
I was a loan officer and then a manager, whatever.
Yeah.
And he would be like, it's almost like Dewey Cox. And I'd be like, you don't want none of this, kid. Which would make him want it more.
Was that a test or?
No, I really,
or were you serious?
No, I didn't feel like, like you said, as a manager, as a mentor, unless I could put someone in a position where I know they could be successful, I don't want to, I don't even want to attempt it. I'm not going to just, figure it out later. So at those points, I wasn't in a position to bring someone in green. So finally, the market was great. I was in a good position. I said, you know what, Sal, you want to come in? Come in. Refi boom. We're doing streamlines like crazy, refis like crazy. About 3 months later, this is, I guess, I don't know, 17, 18, whatever the heck it was. Rates went like disastrous. The entire pipeline died. Everything was a mess. And he had to go through that. And actually what he did was he branched out into real estate. He became a realtor, which taught him that side of the business. He said, like, hell no, I'm not doing this. But he learned enough to come back and be a retail loan officer, which now, is a beast.
I got to tell you, you got to have some set of balls, man, because the roller coaster ride in your business is insane.
Yeah. And the volatility is the thing that crushes. What people don't realize, especially right now is, of course, volume's down, but revenues are down tremendously. The way that mortgage companies make money in the secondary market. Just look at the stock prices. There are publicly traded companies. I won't mention any names, but go in, them. They're household names. Their stock prices are down 90% year over year.
Listen, you got money though. Great time to buy if you're into that type of thing.
100%. And they'll come back. The strong will survive. The people with diverse business models, the people that reinvest in their people and in their technology. That's what we do. We have proprietary technology that nobody else has that allows our guys to be out there and be beasts. And then we invest in the guys above and beyond just mortgage IQ. Yes, there's training and product.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it, man. And that's what, so like, I'm curious to know, LOs that are out there right now that are listening to this, what do you say to them? What do you recommend they do to continue to grow their business in a market that is eroding by the second?
Well, first and foremost, exactly what you said before. You have to surround yourself with the right people that are, capable and like-minded, right? We've been through recessions before. We've been through ups and down markets before. And not that we have a magic bullet or, some special lead that can convert, but it's about the mentality on how to get there, right? You got to not so much focus on the pipeline. I say it all the time, like we grow a business, not a pipeline, right? And when we teach all of our guys from the newest person up to, Sal runs one of our biggest branches, up through me. And every day we're working on, how to better ourselves personally and professionally, right? And then share that with everyone around you. And that makes it easier. So when you enter a situation where it's like, hey, I just won over this relationship with the handsome home buyer. Now you got to bring the loans back to someone that's going to treat it, with the same intent that you did in winning that relationship. It's tough in an environment like this because at most places, the culture just isn't there, right?
I think that's a big issue for LOs. Listen, I know, not a ton, but I know a few LOs that are very good at what they do. But the problem is you could be a great LO and then bring the file back and your back office sucks.
Well, then you got to babysit it, right? So then they can't come back and see you or go to your open house and the service level isn't there. And then you try a guy like Sal that, now takes all your business because he's doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. We see over and over. And so there's a couple different ways we approach it. One is the business to consumer, right? So how do you treat the buyer, their loan, the manufacturing of that loan, and make it as smooth as possible? Then there's the business to business, which most people don't pay attention to, or if they do, they drop the ball on the other side, which is how do you get in front of a guy like Charles? How do you add value? Not just like, hey, I can close your loan quick. We can and we will, but how can we add value? How can we make introductions? How can we get you, more help? Whatever the case may be. I don't know. We service a ton of loans. Maybe some of those loans are looking to sell. Whatever floats the boat of that particular relationship, you have to work the business to business angle with our marketing department, with our product guys, and with our biz dev guys. And then you have to be able to execute on the product, which is closing the damn loan quickly and seamlessly, which, I hope we do a good job of for you.
No, it's amazing. And the irony of what actually brought us together wasn't the whole, hey, let's do business. It's Sal being on the other end of just deals that I was selling. And the process was so smooth and beautiful. I was like, oh, it's
the best way to start the relationship.
How do we do? I need this to happen every time. I can't have a deal fall out 90 days in, which is what happened, when I can have you guys closing it in less than 30 days.
And that luckily happened in an environment where 90 days didn't mean 20,000 to your bottom line, right? The market was still good, maybe even going up. Maybe you made it extra money off.
No, yeah. I mean, again, this is such a big deal for everybody, especially for investors who are going to be listening to this. It costs you $100 to $300 a day to carry a house. As rates go up, your cost of capital is probably going to go up too. If you're paying 8% now, you're going to be paying 12% and 2 points later. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sometimes the difference between making money or getting killed. You don't have that ability to do something like that. You need somebody who's going to look at these things and make sure, hey, listen, either I'm going to close this deal or I'm telling you that this deal is going to close with somebody else.
There's a lot of due diligence done up front, and you have to. It's no different than buying the house itself. I mean, there are some things that you go into sight unseen because the price is so low, you'll figure it out even if you rebuild it. But most cases, especially in a tight market, you're going in there, you're doing a real inspection, right? You figure out how much money you're going to spend. It's no different than a loan. If we're not looking at the income docs, the bank statements, the W-2s, the pay stubs, the credit report up front and getting that to a direct endorsed underwriter for any product, jumbo down to FHA and VA and conventional, you're not really doing the right service for your partners and also for the buyer. I mean, they're just happy to, get an offer accepted. They don't know if they qualify or not. So we do a lot of that stuff up front and we do it the right way. It's not gimmicky. This has all been in place since pre-COVID. A lot of people are trying to do TBD pre-approvals right now because they've seen the success that us and some others have had. But it either goes away very quickly when refis come back or when volume comes back because they don't have the capacity, or they're just kind of winging it. And it's just an overgrown piece of paper that says you're approved when they really didn't do the due diligence that they were supposed to. And with us, if you do it the right way, as you've seen, all you need is the title, the appraisal, and the contract, which is no different than a cash buyer really needs.
Yeah.
So you could be putting 3% down and have the same impact as a cash buyer would on time to close.
No, 25, 28 days, 26 days consistently, man.
If he's that high, I got to talk to him because he should be lower than that. Keep pushing him.
I mean, if people are real, I would argue to say, based on what I've seen, if people are really if everybody's on it, probably 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, you could. You legitimately could. Because it's all done up front and it goes back to the same underwriter. There's no confusion. There's no fighting over, hey, I would have done this differently. So we make it pretty seamless. And the guys love it. The agents love it. Obviously, the sellers love it. And we're going to continue to tweak the process, continue to get better. We're putting a lot of money into technology, you know, to automate things. Cost to produce goes down, speed goes up.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to need in a market like this. You never know what's going to happen.
100%, man.
And if rates go down and we all of a sudden have to do, you know, 5 times the volume again, we can handle it.
Listen, I appreciate you coming down. You're the
man.
man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So you just got Instagram. So, you know, 250 followers. Let's get this guy up. Anybody who's, I mean, they should follow you, and you should be, I mean, it's not cool that you don't put content out. And I'll tell you why. And I'm being 100% serious. I'm not fucking around with you, because you're a very smart guy, and people need to have access to this type of information. Well,
this is my first podcast. You actually were the first post on my Instagram. So you're my first podcast. You'll be my first video. You'll probably be my first actual post, not just a story. So we have that going for us. And I do agree. It is an important part. You know, I lean heavily on my partner, Ralph, you know, our debug, you know, I've ever seen Ralph's videos, to do that stuff. But I think it's important all the way down the line. And I think that, you know, you might not like what I have to say, but I do have a lot to say. So I'll get myself out there a little bit more, and I'll follow your lead on that.
I mean, the promotion is great, but it's just, people, like, you're a very, very sharp guy. People need to be in tune with what's going on.
I can always come back here. And this has been cool.
The door's always open. So what's your Instagram account? If people are interested in getting in touch with you for any reason, whatever contact information you want to put out there, put it out there.
Frank__Capo. We couldn't get Frank Capo.
2 P's or 1 P?
1 P. C-A-P-O. Yep.
Frank__C-A-P-O.
Correct.
Got it. Awesome.
You're going to see no content on there, but we're going to get those follower counts up, and it's going to start coming out soon. I'll make a commitment to everybody that's watching this right now that you will see more content.
I appreciate it, man. Obviously, I'm the handsome home buyer. You have a house that smells like cat pee. You know I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. That's a wrap.